All right, we got a big rainstorm and I'm loading up in the Cherokee. I'm gonna go burn some brush piles because it's warm weather coming up and I won't be able to get any of this stuff done and otherwise if I don't light it up today. All right, we got everything loaded up for our burn operation, but I forgot one important tool. Gotta have the firefighter's combi tool no matter what's going on. This thing does a very good job at so many different chores. Gotta bring the dogs. Okay, we got everybody for our burning operation. All right, we got the whole family and we got the dogs. And we're gonna go burn our brush pile while we got this rainy weather. We're real thankful for this wet weather we just got because next week it's gonna be in the high to mid 70s. Well, here we are. We're ready to get our burn underway. It's amazing how much rain we got, thunder, lightning, and hailstorm. Well, enough that we need to put it in four-wheel drive on the old Cowboy Cherokee. We'll do a video about that one of these days in several parts. It's an old 1980s Jeep Cherokee that we got for free, and we've been fixing it up a little bit by little bit. It helped us get through the winter feeding cows in the mud and snow. Real wet out here. There must have been quite a bit of rain today. Cherokee's flinging mud up everywhere. You see one of our fence projects that we started here. And then we got a brush pile on the other side over here that we need to burn off. Junk that we pulled out of the woods. All this is obsolete in a regenerative grazing and ranching situation where we're building soil with animals. So here's a little backstory. We have been thinning brush out of this area. Basically looked like it is across the road there. Scrub oak, juniper, cedar, lots of brush, super thick. This is an area that we did start thinning. And as you can see, look at all this grass. I mean, it's tall, it's high quality. This is really good feed in here. And we want to keep improving this, and animals is what makes grass grow. The seed bank is already here, and the more you graze the animals, the more the grasses come in. There is some litter in here. You can see, like, look at that. There's a good litter bed in there for not being grazed for decades. And this soil here on the surface is, it looks and smells like potting soil. It's really high quality stuff. And this is an area that was grazed starting back in the Utah pioneer era, and then was grazed about 100 years after that, probably into the 1970s and even possibly the 80s. And then it was abandoned, and a lot of these trees grew up and just crowded everything out. All these fields you see here, they were cut out of these forests and cleared. All the boulders were dug out and were put into crop rotation. So the job I have is I've been asked to rotationally and regeneratively graze animals in these paddocks to build up the soil and to build a more resilient, sustainable system. I'll implement holistic land management, regenerative grazing, and permaculture principles to help tie this place together. Now you can see down there is kind of a sand pit, and there is some previously charred logs. We burned quite a bit of forest litter and slash in here and turned it into biochar. Some of you might know what that is. If you could comment down below if you've had any experience with biochar. We've been doing really good with it. We've been adding the biochar to our corrals and catch pens and just kind of naturally letting the cattle bust it up. And we've been making the biochar in the corrals and in the catch pens with the cattle by just dumping it in there and then letting them stomp it in to the manure and building it kind of naturally that way with minimal effort. All right, so we got the fire going here. I'll feed it and keep heaping it into the middle, and then I'll pull some water off the irrigation system and flood this fire out to extinguish it. And that's about the best biochar I can make in just a basic pit type system like this. You can see there's kind of a berm over here, and then it naturally drops down into there. And that's worked pretty good for us so far. Just keep it simple. So burning slash and brush comes natural to me. I'm a wildland firefighter. I've been doing it for long enough to see the benefits of it. There's just no way to transform it into true biochar. But I burned over 1,500 brush piles last year up above Heber, Utah, between there and Wyoming on a contract with the Forest Service. So I definitely have some burning experience, and as a firefighter, wildland firefighter, we do fight fire with fire when needed. I will publish some videos on wildland firefighting and how to prepare for it if anybody's interested and they want to get started in it. I'll also cover things like what to pack, what not to pack, what kind of gear is good gear and what's not. I'll do a basic everything I pack to go on a fire, and I'll probably even put some videos on this channel of my firefighting experience this season. Right now, it's the end of May, and with all these storms in Utah, I know that the Arizona fire season could start any day. So I'm getting prepared for that. So I'm trying to get as many of these ranch chores done as I possibly can before fire season, because that will disrupt things. All right, we got another slosh pile burning here. That's kind of about the right size that you want. Any bigger than that, you're gonna start torching surrounding trees if your stacks are too high. So build your piles and feed it like a wood chipper. That way you're in charge and you don't get surprised by a fire getting too big. So let's talk a little bit about the grass we have here in Utah. Here's a pretty good example of that grass growing in that sagebrush like that. The animals will bust that sagebrush down over time, and you'll start to get more grasses growing in. So I got neighbors, even though it's springtime, they're already feeding hay and everything's overgrazed and they're going broke on cattle. And if you got a neighbor like that who's going broke, overgrazed, there's one thing you can do. Try to get them to split their pasture in half. That way you can get some regrowth and a rest period on one of those sections. So take something like this and just split it in half. Don't give the cows the whole thing. That's the worst thing you want to do. If you're gonna feed hay, that way you're only feeding hay on half of it and you're letting the other half rest and regrow. We do get rain here in the high desert of Utah, and you will get regrowth. Next week, it's gonna be in the mid to high 70s. And with all this moisture we got, this huge rain event today, and some smaller rain events the past few days, grass will grow. Your pasture will regrow, but you gotta get the animals off of it and you gotta let it rest. Even if you gotta get some T-posts and barbed wire and split that thing, just do it. Split it, it will be worth it. So here's one of the areas I've been throwing hay. This was grazed off pretty hard by one steer that I have. He's a year-old Jersey steer. And I threw hay in here early spring, late winter. And this was grazed off about a week ago. And this is what I'm looking for. Those sharp tips on the grass. This is growing back. With all the rain and all the rain we got today, this is gonna be great. I'll do a part 2 on this video. So you can see here, this was This is a good little view of some of the thinning I did. I took out these scrub oaks and some of the sagebrush, get some light in here, and allow my cattle to move around a little bit. This was so thick you couldn't even walk through here. This oak, it is tough stuff. It just grows everywhere. Now we got a managed silvopasture being established here. Nature needs management. So one thing, probably one of the big things I took away from the Greg Judy grazing school is nature needs management. So I came in here and cut these out. Normally for fuel reduction on a wildland contract, I'll do 8 feet apart. I did my best here. I can take more out and I might later, like this winter, but this is a lot of work. Pulling it out by hand, loading the firewood in the four-wheeler. My beautiful wife helping me. We did what we could do. And now look at this, this is beautiful. You can get around in here. Cattle got some shade and some protection in here. Got grass growing, look at this stuff. This is beautiful grass growing. Starting to get dung beetles in here. Starting to build the soil health, the microbes. All these solar collectors, each blade of grass, pulling the energy in, transferring that to the animals. This is a great life. Working with nature, not against it. You'll start to make money. You won't go broke doing regenerative grazing. Get a good holistic management plan in place, and all of a sudden you'll have a happy, healthy family, happy, healthy neighborhood, community, church, whatever you're looking for. Here's our firewood stack that we made from over the winter, all this oak wood. It's a pretty good stack. There's a lot of wood there. This was an old goat operation, so these old goat pens and some chicken houses. I took this over when I started managing. So I got a place with water all year round. It runs off the irrigation. Very blessed to have this, and it's a nice safe place to keep my well-behaved cattle. I do have electric fence in there, so they're broke on electric. It's nice to have a little corral or catch pen to set up some step-in posts and put a hot wire up. And then that way your cattle will be used to that hot wire. Here's a good view of one of my 5-wire perimeter fences I'm starting. It's gonna separate this silvopasture wooded unit from this paddock over here that's planted in a rye cover crop. We're gonna strip graze this off and then plant sorghum in it. And this is under my management. And the goal is to regenerate the soil and make it more resilient, build microbes, build soil. And I'm the guy with the animals, the know-how, and the plan. So we can take these step outs, pull these down because we're done with animals in this area for now.
Okay, I'll build one.
So you can see this is a nice small brush pile, easy to manage, not getting out of control. You just got to do it on a day where the humidity is high and you're not going to let anything get away from you and have something unexpected happen. So just build it small, keep it under control, and feed it. Feed it like you would your wood chipper. We got Bill out here with us and Dolly, the livestock guardian puppies. They're doing their things, being dogs. We even got Leah, the little rat terrier. She's looking for something in there. I don't think you could make a better life than this, spending time with your family, building a future together. A lot of people want to sell you stuff. They want to sell you compost tea makers. They want to sell you the latest gadget. seed. Just buy more animals, invest in more livestock, build some fences, and you'll start getting more grass. Don't send your money to town. That's what Ian tells everybody. Keep your money in your pocket. Don't send it to town. Quit buying stuff. They're all lessons learned for everybody. But I can show you. I'm growing grass out here. This all used to be sagebrush. That tree used to go all the way down to the ground. That used to be so thick you couldn't even walk through it. Now sometimes your piles might need a little help to get started, so one of these propane weed burner torches works really good, super efficient on getting these wet piles going again. Doesn't take much. Well, here we are back again. This brush pile is doing real good. Tasha's been feeding it, burning it off, feeding it little bit by little bit. And this is gonna be a very successful burn over here. So I thought I'd take a second to talk about the firefighter combi tool. This is probably the most useful tool I have and use the most out of everything I got. It does basically everything. It's got a cutting edge here. It's got a pick here for pulling out rocks and roots. And then it's got this big scraper here. The thing I like about the tool is the handle's long and you're not gonna hurt your back working it. Okay, I'm gonna change it up a little bit. Take off one hat, swap over to another, my wildland helmet, and get the little Husqvarna 120 out, some chaps, and saw some of this sagebrush out down here on the far end. This fire is burning real good. It'll burn that stuff right up. Well, some of you might be wondering, why am I running a Husqvarna 120? Because I got it on eBay refurbished for $165. Came to my house in exactly 2 days and I put it to work. The other reason is it fits in the back of the Cowboy Cherokee and it's very efficient. If you don't have one of these, this is a Dolmar style gas can, bar oil on one side, 2-cycle mix on the other. These are getting extremely hard to find nowadays. I had to order this one from eBay Canada to get it shipped to me. For some reason, they're not available or readily available in the United States. They're getting pretty hard to find. They're very coveted and popular with wildland firefighters because your sawyers will have swampers and other guys on the crew carry those as spares, and they're just very, very convenient, safe fuel cans to use. If you don't have a pair of saw chaps, I don't know. I don't think it's worth the risk. I've seen some pretty bad injuries on wildland fires over the years from sawyers just getting tired and making mistakes. They cut the chaps. They don't always cut themselves, but that's what the chaps are for, is for stopping little mistakes or accidents. And then you always want to have wedges of some sort, and maybe even a tourniquet from one of your old Special Forces Army buddies. This is a soft tee that was given to me probably back in 2005 by one of my veteran buddies who was overseas. Well, we made some good progress with the 120, little Husqvarna 120. Got some more brush cleared out, some of the sagebrush cut down. Starting to get later. We've got 3 really good brush piles going. Beautiful sunset. Evening with the family. Regenerative ranching. Homesteading. This is the life. Yep, there's Bill and Dolly livestock guardian dogs there, hanging out like they usually do. Laying on my coat, snuggled up together. Got a half-gallon Maverick jug full of goat milk from our La Manchas. There's the little rat terrier. See, what a beautiful sunset. Beautiful fire. This little wood lot is really coming together. Part 2 of this videos to come, I'll show you some areas that haven't been thinned out so you can see the difference. And if you're interested in what we're doing, I'd invite you to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share it with your friends who might be interested in things like homesteading, permaculture, holistic management, and regenerative ranching.